And we're back for a run through of the 7th instalment of Lovecraft Country's I Am, picking out the historical references, Easter eggs you may have missed, but also Hippolyta's character explained. For me, she's one of the most intriguing characters in this show. But first, let's get the pleasantries out of the way. My name is Opinionated Olivia and I am new to YouTube. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, it will really help to grow my channel. And if you are on the same wavelength as me, go on, hit that subscription button, because my content is going to get better and better and I will be producing more and more videos just like this. So let's get into this. Shifting away from the usual horror, I Am is more of a reflective and regrouping episode, helping us, the audience, to tie everything back together before the final 3 episodes. This week we see Hippolyta do some soul searching while Atticus discovers his father's deep, dark secret. As a result, he gets answers to his childhood abuse. Oh yes, there's also new life on the horizon, with Letty suffering from morning sickness. But at the heart of this episode is Hippolyta's fantastical journey through space, time, and her mission to find her own identity. With that said, I Am is loosely based on a chapter of a Matt Ruff's novel named Hippolyta Disturbs the Universe. But did you know the original Hippolyta was the queen of the Amazon and daughter of Ares, god of war? According to the myth, Hippolyta was given a magical griddle by her father Ares. So how does this tie into Lovecraft? Well, we heard Hippolyta's father's voice on the other side of the telephone, discussing the models of the solar system. Maybe it's a bit of a reach, but could he possibly be Ares? We find H and D at the remains of the Braithwaite's mansion, where H finds one of D's comics in the rubble, confirming Uncle G was there and contradicting Letty and Atticus's story. Now back in Chicago, H figures out how to open Hiram's Ori. It gives her a series of coordinates, sending her to Mayfield, Kansas, and an inscription. There are a lot of in-between scenes in this episode, which I'm not going to go into because for this video I really want to focus on Hippolyta and her journey. Hippolyta arrives at the observatory where she's sucked into a portal. She arrives on an unknown planet and she's greeted by some aliens, where she's taken to Seraphina, aka Beyonce. And here is where H's magical journey starts. And in my opinion, her journey represents having a different point of view. And by that I mean, the places she visits are wildly different to her reality, but she is the same person, so it's opening her eyes and she's seeing things from a different perspective. Hippolyta is presented with the question, where do you want to be? Name it. Who do you want to be? Name it. Half joking, Hippolyta responds, saying she wants to be dancing in Paris with Josephine Baker. Then we see her catapult straight into Baker's life. At this point, Hippolyta metaphorically says, I am a bad bitch. She is free and she is sensuous, just like Josephine Baker. If you don't know, Josephine Baker was an American-French entertainer, civil rights activist and a Freemason in the 1920s. She took Paris by storm with her singing and dancing, and she symbolised the beauty and fertility of Black American culture. Yes, she was a baddie. Baker was born in St. Louis in 1906. She grew up in poverty. She left school in 5th grade and was married to her first husband at the age of 13. Yes, 13. Soon after, she joined a travelling performance troupe. When H is transported into the Baker show, she is unfamiliar with the dance routine. This scene parallels Josephine Baker's real life. During her time as a supporting dancer, she was often ill-prepared and didn't know the dance steps. Hippolyta tells her, I see what I was robbed of back there. In America, she means. Then she goes on to say, I feel like they just found a smart way to lynch me without me noticing the noose. With the realisation, H is left furious and angry. She wants revenge. And she tells Baker, now I'm tasting freedom. I see what I was robbed of back then. She wants payback, and payback is what she will get. She is transported into an all-woman warrior tribe in Africa, where she becomes one of the legendary Dahomey Amazons. These were a real-life all-female tribe. In their last battle, they stood against the invading French soldiers, but they were forced to disband when Benin became a French territory. In the episode, the woman who trains H is referred to as Nari. She is considered to be the last of the Dahomey Amazon women. She died in the 1970s and could recall fighting the French in the 1890s. Creepy. Not only is Hippolyta trained in combat, she's also taught how to be a woman who doesn't cook, clean or raise children for a man. She realises her life is so small and she's pissed about it. For me, I found it really therapeutic to see Hippolyta fight the Confederate soldiers and get all of her anger and get the payback that she needed out of her. She's moulded herself into the perfect stereotype of an obedient housewife. But through her fantasies, Hippolyta changes. She wishes she could have been a sexually free dancer, a warrior who delights in being unladylike, an adventurer who travels without any fear. And right, on that note, let me introduce you to Bessie. While H was driving, we saw a woman pass her on a motorcycle. This was Bessie Stringfield. She's the first black lady to ride a motorcycle across the US solo. During her trip, she was faced with a great deal of discrimination, especially across the segregated South. She notably rode a dispatch rider for the US Armed Forces during World War II. She was everything Hippolyta hoped to be, an adventurer without fear. In H's last stop, she's back in bed with Uncle G, where she's forced to confront him about how she felt trapped. I love Uncle G, but he definitely wasn't an angel, and he was more than likely having an affair with Atticus's mum. H addresses something that Bessie once said, the problem that has no name, where she tells Uncle G that she's been angry a lot of her life because she was shrinking, and she implies that Uncle G stopped her from achieving her dreams. She kind of admits that she didn't want children, and she didn't want to be a housewife trapped in a home. But it was comforting to see Uncle G admit that she was right. He admits that he helped to shrink her. For me, that scene was heartbreaking but also beautiful. We see H takes Uncle G's hand and leads him to the space garden. This time their partnership is of equals, and she's finally able to accept he's gone and offers her a place in a new higher plane of society, to which Hippolyta declines, and she decides to go back to her life on planet Earth for her daughter D. This for me was a bittersweet moment. Ultimately, H's journey was her saying, I am unapologetically carefree. I am a strong, brave warrior. And she becomes unshrunk. I think I've said this about other episodes, but this was really one of my favourite episodes. I found it so inspiring. I do understand Hippolyta's decision to return home, because the overarching theme of Lovecraft Country is all about family. And that is why H turns down an offer to take care of her daughter D. If you did enjoy my breakdown on Hippolyta's journey, please give the thumbs up. I'm now going to get into the quick Easter egg breakdowns that you may have missed. Number 1, Frida Kahlo. She made a brief appearance at the bar where H was at. If you blinked, you may have missed her. Frida is considered one of Mexico's greatest artists. She was injured in a bus accident when the handrail went through her back and out of her pelvis. Yikes. 2. When is Bobo coming back? This was a reference to Emmett Till, a 13-year-old child who was lynched by 2 grown white men for allegedly hitting a white woman. I did cover this in episode 4. His name seems to pop up every now and then, so don't be surprised if his storyline comes into the show. 3. Beyonce. The alien with the big afro that took H on her adventure was credited at the end of the show as Beyonce. Clever, isn't it? 4. Mother's Finest. I've already spoken about this show's relationship with music. This week, over the African fighting scene, there was a song from Mother's Finest played over. Mother's Finest were a 70s funk band with a black female singer. Perfect song choice in my opinion. 5. Space is a place. While H and Uncle G explored the planet, we heard a monologue from jazz artist Sun Ra, taken from the classic 1974 film Space in the Place. I don't know why I keep saying it like that, sorry. Sun Ra claimed to be an alien from Saturn. One of his most famous speech says, I am not real, I'm just like you. You don't exist in this society. If you did, your people wouldn't be seeking equal rights. You were not real. If you were, you'd have had some status amongst this nation of the world. We are both myths. Sun Ra was a prominent advocate of afro-futurism, which leads me on to number 6, afro-futurism. This is a term used for a genre of sci-fi where the central characters are of African descent. This genre asks big questions such as, what would have happened if slavery didn't happen? What would have happened if Africa wasn't colonized? It is basically a celebration but also a mourning of black potential. Just like Lovecraft, Black Panther is part of this genre. And once again, that leads quite nicely onto the last and final point, number 7. Did you see Tick holding a small book titled Lovecraft Country and author's Uncle G? What the F? Could this mean Uncle G is still alive but in a different dimension? I really wonder how these two worlds are going to affect each other, if they're going to alter each other in any way. Is Uncle G in a dimension when the brave whites don't exist, where slavery didn't happen and maybe the black people are on top of the world? I'm not going to lie, that completely spun my mind and it made me completely excited to find out how this is all going to end. Hopefully next week we'll find out what happened on Tick's adventure through his portal. Let me know your predictions for next week's episodes. And do you have a favourite character? If you do, comment down below because I might do a video on them. And I feel like I must acknowledge the fact I didn't do a review for last week's episode. I really didn't enjoy the episode that much, if I'm honest. I didn't really care that much about Gia's character. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it was so disjointed from the overall plot of the story, and I just, to be honest, wasn't feeling it. And if I'm completely honest, I'm rooting for Letty and Atticus to be together so Gia can just, skedaddle. Anyway, bye for now, guys. Thank you for listening. Peace out. A-Town down.